Graphic music. Graphic music.
Shalom. I want to start off by saying Kal Halal Yamla, Yahweh, Basham, Yahushai, Basham Rekakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth and who rule well. Peace and citations unto the Akim that is spread around the four corners of the earth, spreading this word in sincerity and in truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm the brother Quatazab Zayan, coming back through the spirit and power of Yahweh Basham Yahushai with another lesson, with another video, and Lord willing, this video is edifying. So, in this lesson, what you just saw before you was a clip video of a tree being grafted in, right? So through the spirit, of course, it had me thinking about Romans 11, where the Israelite foreigners, which are the Israelite that look like heathen, that haven't been grown up with the customs, knowing that they are Israelites, that they are being grafted back in. How? By faith. See, because faith is the key. So that video had me thinking about that, but I don't want to start it at Romans 11. Actually, I want to start it off in Zechariah 4, because that also goes into it. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into it. Let's go to the book of Zechariah 4. And in my Bible, it's entitled The Candlestick and Two Olive Trees. So this is Zechariah 4:1. And the angel that talked with me came again and waked me as a man that waketh out of his sleep. So this is just me speaking my mind, because these people, they are asleep, man. The people that they're literally walking zombies. They're literally walking and they're sleeping. But in this manner, you see the angel, he woke the man up. He woke Zechariah up out of his sleep. So he was being, figuratively speaking, waking up to the truth, showing the truth. How? By shining light on the situation. The angel was shining light upon the situation. He was showing him something, showing him a vision. You see, but these people, they don't have a vision. They're not waiting for prophecy to be fulfilled. They're not waiting for the Messiah to come back. So these people are still sleeping, So that's just me thinking out loud as a man, or as a man of the Lord. So Zechariah 4:2 says, And said unto me, What seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick all of gold, with a bowl upon the top of it, and his 7 lamps therein, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps which are upon the top thereof. So the candlesticks, you already know what that represents. Let's go to Revelation 1. Let me just start at 12. This is Revelation 1, verse 12. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with the garment down to the foot, and girded about the paps with a golden girdle. So this is speaking about Yahushai, which everybody ignorantly calls Jesus, the person that everybody ignorantly calls Jesus. And the 7 golden candlesticks, that's this. This is Revelation 1, verse 20. The mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 candlesticks which thou sawest are the 7 churches. See? So that's what was being explained, was being shown also in the book of Zechariah. And what did it say? Let me see. I think I'm going to go till 5. On Zechariah 4, verse 2. He saw 7 lamps and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps. And what do they emit? They emit light. And what is light? Let's go to Matthew 5. Verse 15. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. God, so you are enlightening the place. You are showing forth. You are bringing things into light. So what does that represent? That represents shining wisdom on a situation, giving wisdom, making things clear, making things visible. See? So going back to Zechariah 4, verse 3. And 2 candles, and 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right side of the bowl, and the other upon the left side thereof. God. So what does this represent? This represents the 2 witnesses, which are, let's go to Revelation 11, verse 3. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,203 days, clothed in sackcloth. And so these 2 witnesses, they are the how you call it? They are the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom of the nation of Israel, which are the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And they are going to be prophesying, and they are going to be clothed in sackcloth, meaning they are going to be mourning, for the state of what they're in, because we are in a sorrowful state right now. We weren't like this. These other nations, they know, and they are keeping us on the subjection, and they are keeping us in bad, how you call it, on the bad side of the Most High, for lack of better terms. Reading further, it says, Revelation 11, verse 4. These are the two olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, power of the earth. You see? So these 2 witnesses, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom of the nation of Israel, those are the 2 olive trees, and those are the 2 candlesticks standing before the Most High. You see? Because he have brought this nation close to him. Some have he cursed and some has he blessed. You see, Esau, he had cursed, but he had blessed us, but he had blessed, I call them, the Ishmaelites, with certain substance here upon earth. But some had he called near to himself, which is Israel, the nation of Israel. He's dealing with them. He gave them the law, statutes, and commandments. So those are the 2 olive trees and the 2 witnesses. Let's go to Deuteronomy 7, verse 6. For thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy power. Yahweh thy power had chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. See? So that's why you saw these 2 witnesses and these 2 olive trees. So let's go into that with the olive tree. Romans 11, verse 16. So it says, Romans 11, verse 16. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. You see, so the root, the base of the plant is holy, right? But if it is broken off, verse 17, and if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, and these wild olive trees, those are the Israelite foreigners, being a wild olive tree, were graved in among them, and with them partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree. So these Israelite foreigners are being grafted into the fold, grafted into this how you call it, this ministry, this gospel, by faith, believing that the Most High is going to send His Son to redeem His people, because these Israelite foreigners, they also need redemption. They also are in a pitiful state, because these curses from Deuteronomy 28, they don't go by skin color. They go by a seed. They go by the seed of the nation of Israel. So if you are even looking like one of these hedonistic nations, and you still have the curses upon you, then you are of the nation of Israel. See, so it says, and with them partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. You see? So don't be boasting that you brought yourself into this. No, man. It is all of the will and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai that you have been grafted in. So don't become proud, You have men and people that have been longer in this truth, and that have more authority and more wisdom than you. So don't be boasting yourself up once you come into the truth or in the camp. Verse 19, thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off that I might be graven in. God, so let's go into that instance where that happened. Let's go to Isaiah 24. No, this is not it. Let me read this real quick, but this is not it. This is Isaiah 24, verse 13. When thus it shall be in the midst of the land. Let me skip this. Let me hold that. It was in the book of Isaiah, with Isaiah 17. So, bear with me for a second. No, so it's in Jeremiah. That's where it is. Jeremiah 11. Yep. 11 till, I'm reading until 17. It's Jeremiah 11, verse 14. And it reads, therefore pray not for these people, neither lift up a cry or prayer for them, for I will not hear them in the time that they cry unto me for their trouble. Speaking about the 2/3, the 2/3 that don't want to change their ways. Verse 15, what had my beloved to do in mine house, seeing she had wrought lewdness with many? And that she is speaking about Israel, because as it says in Jeremiah 6:2, he has likened the daughter of Zion as a comely and delicate woman. So we are that wife. We are joined unto the Most High, like we just read. The two witnesses, the people that He brought nigh unto Himself. So being married to the Most High means to be joined unto Him. To be close to Him. Seeing she had wrought lewdness with many, meaning we were going after these other gods. We were committing spiritual fornication, That's the lewdness, wrought lewdness with many, and the holy flesh is passed from thee. When thou doest evil, then thou rejoicest. The Lord called thee a green olive tree, fair and of goodly fruit. With the noise of the great tumult he had kindled fire upon it, and the branches of it are broken. You see, so the Most High, he was wroth with Zion, with the daughter of Zion. So he broke all the branches thereof, but he left the root, and the base was still holy. You see. So afterward, these Israelite foreigners could be grafted in. For 17, for the power of hosts that planted thee has pronounced evil against thee, for the evil of the house of Israel and the house of Judah, the house of Israel meaning the northern kingdom, and the house of Judah meaning the southern kingdom, which they had done against themselves to provoke him to anger in offering incense unto Baal. You see? So we as a nation were going a whoring after these other gods. So the Most High, he broke the branches. He's like, nah, man, I'm not dealing with y'all anymore. So he turned his back. But he left a holy base. So yeah, that reminds me of Isaiah 5. Let me see. Now let me go to Isaiah 24 first. Isaiah 24, verse 13. When thus it shall be in the midst of the land among the people. Let me see. Let me start here. Read on down. This is Isaiah 24, verse 10. The city of confusion is broken down. City of confusion, speaking about Babylon, because confusion means to babble. Babylon means to babble, which is to bring confusion. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, and this was one of the main scriptures last year when this C-19 started and people were locking themselves in, quarantining themselves, that no man may come in. There is a crying for wine in the streets. The wine represents wisdom. So there was a crying of wisdom in the streets, like, hey, they didn't see us for a while, or people were kind of shook for the first time, for the first lockdown. They're like, hey, I know they always stand here, so I wanted to ask them something, so now I have the chance. So there's a crying for wisdom in the streets. All joy is darkened, the mirth of the land is gone until now. People can't go to their festivals. People aren't partying like how they used to, like it's 1999. People can't do stuff like that anymore because of the grip of Esau Edom, which is ultimately the Most High is moving Edom as a pawn, as his sword here upon earth. Verse 12. In the city is left desolate, and the gate is smitten with destruction. So that's going to happen. That is waiting to happen, actually, with these military troops, with a martial law, with a nuclear fire. All these things are going to lay the place desolate. When thus it shall be in the midst of the land among the people, there shall be as a shaking of an olive tree, and as the gleaning grapes when the vintage is done. So here you see the shaking of the olive tree and the gleaning of the grapes. That's a metaphor for, everything's going to be shook, but still you're going to have a vintage with greening grapes, which, who is that vintage? That vintage is also Israel. The Israelites, the Israelite that have this truth, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because those are going to be those gleaming grapes on the top of that vintage. Verse 14, thou shalt lift up their voice, they shall sing for the majesty of Yahweh, they shall cry aloud from the sea. God, you see? So there's going to be a remnant of the olive tree, a remnant of the vineyard that is going to be crying unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the gleaning grapes. So now I can go to Isaiah 8. It's like Isaiah 5. This is Isaiah 5, verse 1. Now will I sing to my well beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well beloved had a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. And who's that? It's like, let me go to my notes real quick. Gone. So let me read again. Now will I sing to my well beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well beloved had a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. So who's that vineyard? That vineyard, that vine, are these Israelites. And the fruitful hill represents Israel. And he fenced it, meaning, it's just like Job. When Satan wanted to attack Job, then Satan said, how can I? Because thou hast fenced him, thou hast him under protection, thou hast a hedge over him. So that's the fence. And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine, which is the Israelites. And the stones represents these other nations, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. Gone. So these grapes represents the Israelites that are gonna have the truth, the gleaning grapes that I just read about in Isaiah 24. So let's go back to Zechariah 4. Let me see. Actually, the points were made, So I answered and spake to, let me see what this is going to go into. This is going to go into something else. That's going to go into the breakdown of Zerubbabel. So let me just remove that. So basically, these are the points that I wanted to hit with the teaching of the teaching about the olive tree and the golden candlesticks and the vineyard of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Because that video, I don't know where, I just saw it somewhere on social media, and that's the thought that sparked into my mind. I'm like, it's a good topic to make a video about and to bring understanding out of such a simple agricultural act, So you can't graft something in if it's not from that same species, that same plant sort, So you can't graft something into the faith. You can't graft another nation into the faith if he's not from the seed of, spiritually speaking, Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob, So no other nation is going to make it into this vineyard of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. No other nation is going to be having these gleaming grapes in the midst of the vineyard of the Most High. If you're going to be a gleaning grape, then you have to be of the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You see? Gone. So with that, I hope this video is edifying. And I want to say Kal Halal Yamla, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Ba'asham Reka Kodash, Shalom Akim.